so lonely, broken angel. I'm so lonely.
Maysoon Zayid, welcome to Hardtalk.
Thank you so much for having me. I really want to shake your hand, but I shake too much to shake.
I will consider it done. Maysoon Zayid, you've said if there were an oppression Olympics, you would win the gold medal.
Yes.
Why'd you say that?
I would definitely win the gold medal because I'm Palestinian, I'm Muslim, I'm a woman of color, I'm disabled, and I live in Donald Trump's America. You don't get more oppressed than that.
We'll come to Donald Trump's America perhaps a little bit later, but just explain to us, what does it mean to have cerebral palsy?
So in my case, my cerebral palsy is a result of Dr. Error. The doctor who delivered me was drunk, and so now I appear to be drunk for my entire life, even when I'm sober. In my case, my CP makes me shake all the time, and it affects my coordination. It's a neurological disorder that affects muscle coordination, but it exhibits differently in different people with CP.
Mm-hmm. And you have said, however, I have 99 problems, and cerebral palsy is just one of them. Have you always had such a positive attitude towards your condition, and where does that come from?
I have always had a positive attitude towards my condition because I was raised as an equal by my parents. My parents acknowledged my disability. They accommodated my disability, but they didn't focus on it. So whatever my sisters had to do, I had to do. If my sisters were cleaning, I was going to be cleaning. If they went to public school, my parents fought and made sure that I too could go to public school. And when I was born, the doctors told my parents that I would never walk. Now, this is something really important. There's no shame in not walking. There's no shame in using a wheelchair or a walker or a cane. And sometimes people use the word wheelchair bound. That term is incorrect. Mobility devices free people. But when I was growing up, my father was aware that I'd be spending time in two separate worlds, in America and also in the West Bank. So he was determined to teach me how to walk. And he did.
So you derive that kind of positive attitude from your very close-knit Palestinian family, in particular your late father.
Yes.
It was he who encouraged you, was it?
My father encouraged me and my mother strengthened me. My mother's a tiger mom, so she showed no mercy. The other day I was on TV. I called my mom. I said, "What'd you think?" She said, "Your hair looked terrible." And it did. And I was glad she told me because I learned for the next time. My father was my cheerleader and he had a mantra, and his mantra was, "You can do it. Yes, you can." And he really believed that I could do anything I dreamt of and encouraged me to take chances and also to accept when I couldn't.
And you've spoken of how you would walk on your father's feet so that you could learn how to walk, and he'd be dangling a dollar note before you in order to entice you into walking as much as possible. I mean, that's just one small example of how you do make jokes about having cerebral palsy.
And also how he approached it in a fun way. You know, I always say I walked miles on my father's shoes, but the dollar bill was really what worked the best for me because my inner stripper was so strong that I was running in stilettos by kindergarten.
But do you think that, you know, that kind of approach, talking about it in that way, perhaps might to some people strike them as that you're making light of something which, after all, is quite serious and is restricting for many people because of the way society deals with people with disabilities?
I think that talking about my disability honestly and with humor makes it more accessible and less frightening for people. And I think that applies to people with disabilities and also to caretakers and parents. I think it's so important that we destigmatize disability. My disability is visible, but there's also so many invisible disabilities. And the stigma around disability is real. When someone is pregnant, the very first thing people tell them is, "I hope it's healthy." We don't acknowledge the fact that there's a chance that it won't be. And what I want is for people to see that regardless of what disability a person has, they still have potential. They can still have joy. They can still have love. I often say people think of people with disabilities as happy snowflake angel babies that never grow up and don't get married and don't have kids. We have the potential to live full lives, whether we're verbal, nonverbal, mobile, not mobile. And I think that by approaching my disability the way I would any of my other 99 problems, it empowers people to be loud and proud about their disability and to not fear disability in others.
But when you saw your more able-bodied sisters, and you saw how you perhaps couldn't do everything that they could, or did you feel in any way angry or frustrated at any time?
I didn't really feel otherized or disabled until I got to college, until I finished high school, because in addition to my family, my friends were very supportive. I've had the same best friends since I was 5 years old.
You're in a mainstream school, and that for you is very important.
Yes. My parents had to fight for me to be in a mainstream school. When I went to start school, they wanted to send me to a special school for children with Down syndrome. And my parents fought to have me mainstreamed. I believe that if they hadn't fought for my education, I wouldn't be sitting here on Hardtalk with you right now. And I think that one of the most important things in the world is to make sure that children with disabilities worldwide,
Including those with Down syndrome.
including those with Down syndrome, nonverbal, intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities, we all have a right to education. And sure, not everyone's going to be a heart surgeon. I certainly don't have the coordination, but we need to give people the potential to learn.
But
I'm so lonely, broken angel. I'm so